Hello, everyone. Welcome to Developing Palates. I'm Aaron Loomis, and with me, as always, is Jiunn Liu. How you doing, Jiunn?
Good.
So today we are talking about the Ezra All My Exes Maduro Lancero. This is actually more of a Lonsdale, I guess, 6.5 inch by 42 ring gauge. Comes out of the Tabacaleras Aroma de Jalapa factory in Nicaragua. Wrapper is Mexican San Andres, and the binder and filler are both from Nicaragua. Blended by Chris Kelly and Kyle Hoover. Price point is $8.95, and the cigar was released in April of 2016. So with all those details out of the way, Jiunn, what was your pre-light experience like?
Pre-light was good. I thought the cigar look was good. Dark chocolate brown Maduro shade wrapper. Things well pressed, seems tight visible. Bunch of roll felt pretty good. I got a uniform give throughout the whole thing with no soft spots. The head, classic triple cap. On the nosing experience, on the wrapper, I got wet earth, cedar, and a hint of white pepper. And by the way, I've been getting a lot of this wet earth thing lately because it's probably because of all this freaking rain we have. Anyways, that's what I got. So when I nosed the foot, rich nuttiness, slight black pepper and cedar, cold draw, stereotypical what I get all the time. Cardboard, little slight black pepper and spicy cedar. So all in all, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, really dark brown wrapper. Mine was actually a little bit darker towards the foot. There were a few prominent raised veins. The seams were easily lost in that dark wrapper, and the head sported a well-applied triple cap. Band was all black, some white lettering and artwork on it. The aroma from the wrapper was a mix of manure and stone fruit, and the foot gave a very light stone fruit aroma. Pre-light draw, it was a mix of lightly sweet hay and leather, and I also got a little mild spicy tingle on my lips as well. So flavor-wise, what was your experience like?
Starting from the first third, there's a lot of this earthiness, and specifically what I mean by that is there's a super unique, first and foremost, this like campfire-like effect to it, and that like campfire, like the toasted wood and the burning wood kind of a thing going on, and that wood bitterness. In addition, I got this synthetic, like a medium body sweet cream, and when I say synthetic, I mean more like something that's reminiscent of like sweet and low, like synthetic kind of a sugar thing going on. Through the retrohale, it's probably my favorite part. Strong black pepper, sharp cedar, and hay. Finish consisting of lingering toasted wood bitterness on the tongue, and fresh black pepper. To the strength and body, it was just medium throughout the whole cigar. Moving on to the second third, I felt like the second third lost quite a bit of sweetness, and that was mainly so because that was lost. The profile was mainly centered around that campfire, wood and that bitterness going on. Black pepper spices slightly increased as well, but it was never a dominating factor. Still the same retro, still got that great strong black pepper, sharp cedar, hay. Finish still unchanged, lingering notes of toasted wood bitterness and fresh black pepper. Moving on to last third. So I split the last third within an equal half. So within the first half of that last third, it mimicked what it gave on the second third. But the real story, and then the notable part is past that first half mark, where I felt like the cigar was a little bit more single note dominant. That toasted wood and that wood of bitterness really took over that profile and it overshadowed, especially that sweetness and spice big time. So kind of a bit of a one note wonder kind of a cigar at that point. Luckily, the retro still didn't lose its thing. Still got that same black pepper, sharp cedar, dry nuts. Finish was also unfortunately dominated by that toasted wood bitterness. So all in all, very wood earthy kind of a profile for me.
Yeah, the first couple of draws brought a kind of note of pine, but that quickly kind of changed into cedar. And the retrohale was also cedar, but it kind of carried a good dose of spiciness to it. And then at half an inch in, the cedar transitioned to oak, and that was both in the mouth and on the retrohale. And then at 3/4 of an inch in, the oak became a little bit darker and also gained a little bit of creaminess to it. And the retrohale was kind of a nice warm oak. And then as the third was coming to a close, the creaminess kind of disappeared and left that dark oak. And it was a little slightly drying at that point as well. And strength was right at medium. And then getting into the second third, the oak was continuing on, but it was now accompanied by a little bit of earthiness. And then at half an inch in, that earthiness kind of moved to the front with the oak more in the background. And the profile was still a little bit drying at that point. At 1 3/4 inches, a little bit of cream joined in, so that kind of got rid of that dryness. And as the third was coming to a close, a little mintiness moved into the background while that earthiness and the oak were up front. And that mintiness was it was really present on a really long finish. And the strength would bump up a little bit just to be slightly above medium. And then getting the final third, that mintiness was present at the end of the last third. It kind of transitioned to make the oak appear to be a little bit younger and maybe like a little slightly green. And there was still a good amount of earthiness in the profile. And then half inch in, that youngness of the oak went away. And then at an inch in, the oak kind of gained a significant amount of char to it. And the retrohale also carried some of that charred oak. And then after a few more draws, a fair amount of bitterness had kind of joined in, and that earthiness wasn't even really detectable anymore. It was that strong charred oak really just completely took over the profile. And that's kind of how the cigar finished out for me. And the strength had actually moved up to medium full in the final third. So performance-wise, burn and draw, what was your experience like?
Very good for both. I thought, especially considering that thinner ring gauge Lonsdale Lancero, fatter Lancero format, perhaps. It was good. Total smoking time came out to be 1 hour and 50 minutes, which is pretty darn good. Ashes held on fairly strong, averaging 1.5 inch increments. Burn line, it was, never razor sharp, but it was, sharp enough, I felt like. But most importantly, I never had to, use the lighter to touch it up or anything. So draw wise, it was just slightly on the loose end of the spectrum for me, but it was still really good. I mean, with that said, no real complaints.
Yeah, the burn was pretty sharp through the first 2/3, and then it got really wavy in the final third. And it also went out on me twice and required a couple of relights. So not the greatest of burns there. Ash held on in 3/4 inch increments, and for me, it would just fall without notice. Like you didn't even see a little bit of a lean or anything to it. It would just kind of just dropped off. So there were a few times where I learned on the first one I needed to kind of cradle it with my hand while I was taking draws. So if it did fall, it wasn't falling all over my lap. So in regards to the draw, the pre-light draw was really tight. So I was a little bit concerned that this was going to have trouble from the beginning. But as soon as the cigar was lit, it was really just only slightly snug. And I didn't really need to pay any attention to it. So it was just kind of one of those things that as soon as a little bit of heat got to it, it opened up pretty well. So what were your overall thoughts on the cigar?
I thought this was overall an average experience for me. I enjoyed namely that first third uniqueness and the uniqueness in the form of that campfire effect. I thought it was very unique. I made me think that it had that fire cured tobacco in there. But I know the cigar doesn't. I mean, and I know this because I asked, Kyle and Chris, and they said there wasn't any. So,
right.
But especially when that last third and became really like wood bitterness dominant, and that really killed it for me because it really lost out on the other flavors. But I mean, I think it's worth smoking if you want to taste what I mean by this campfire thing. But other than that, I mean, that's not enough to go out and buy a bunch of these, in my opinion.
Yeah. The cigar started out with some quick and flavorful transitions, then it kind of settled into that consistent profile until the final third when things got really dark and bitter. And just like you were saying, when I smoked it, it didn't really tip me off at the beginning that said there's fire cured tobacco in here, but it was close enough that, I think that if people that like fire cured tobacco, that they might enjoy this cigar, even though it doesn't necessarily have that tobacco in it. It's close enough, or it gives you that profile, or it gives you that experience that it might be kind of right in line with that. So they might dig that. I would have preferred the cigar if it had kind of continued on with the profile that I got in the first third. But I'd be curious to see if more time would allow this blend to settle down a little bit and make it a little bit more well-rounded. But with that, I'd be interested in revisiting it maybe a year or so down the road. But as it sits, it didn't really impress me. So I would be kind of with that performance issue and how the final third ended. They're probably linked together. But it got really, really charry and really bitter. So that final third not a good way to finish it out. So.
No.
Getting into scores, I gave it a 5.40. You gave it a 6 even. How do you think your score matched up with the experience?
The story of this guy, it's overall average smoking experience, coupled by very good constructed cigar performance. So that warrants a 6.
Yeah, mine matches up. I mean, I gave it average for flavor, except from the final third. I gave it a subpar just because of how bitter and charry you got. So, performance was it was decent. Burn wasn't that great, in that final third, but draw was pretty good. So it's close to an average cigar, as it gets with a decent construction. So I think it's fine. Any other final thoughts with this cigar?
No. How about some Aganorsa tobacco, Ezra, back in the day, huh? Chris and Kyle, huh? All right, just kidding.
All right, well, if you're just catching this video on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to us, but also check out the written review on the website, developingpalates.com. Be sure to follow us on all the social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google+. And you can also catch all of these recaps now on podcast, so iTunes, Google Play, and Podbean. Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next one.